Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I'm your friend Abdul Shaktivel, and in this video, we are going to review two of the take-home assignments submitted by Manpreet and Umaji. Right. So, without wasting much time, let's get started. Again, if you haven't watched the last two parts where I have received, reviewed four assignments, please do watch them. I have also covered some of the important points while reviewing them. So, yeah, without getting much delay, we will get started with the first assignment. I think. This is from Manpreet, and she also have three questions for me. She couldn't do some of the three tasks, which also I will detail now. But coming to the assignment, like we have a test class, with data provider. She is using data supplier. This is really good because it takes away a lot of burden of reading your JSON file and converting it to the user class, right? So that's very important. So and let's come to the test. Test is okay. Hit post API. Hit, like, we don't have to be very specific about hitting and all that. So, and also the naming convention for the method should never get changed, right? So you have used proper naming convention here. The camel casing, the first letter starting with small lowercase, and then consecutively with uppercase. So that's the convention, and don't miss that at any point of time. So now this you are basically hitting a post API. So let's see what you are doing. I think this is very common because you are using generics. Really good that you know about generics, you want to showcase. But I feel in this case, maybe a better name you could have given here. This is not merely an utility. Utility classes are something that, let's say you're reading from a file, you want to, it's completely different, right? So utilities, this to me is not exactly an utility, even though you are trying to use it as a utility. What I feel here is maybe you could have named it as request or post API or create user, some kind of name, rather than hit post API. Again, hit is something that I don't really like, but the implementation part is something very clean, right? You are passing the endpoints, you're passing the data, whatever may be the type of it, it doesn't matter. So it's really good. But one point is, think about the naming conventions always, and user pass response user dot class in. Okay, so you're getting the response, you're trying to, okay, pass it. Again, you are using generics, really good. Response, extracted response. Okay, so here I think you should have used just response.as. It's more than enough, but you are doing something, playing around with spec. Let's see what you have here, and you are checking whether it is null, or else you are trying to build your own response specification with expect content type. Hmm, I don't think you need this. Maybe in your particular, maybe in your company project, you would have got something like this, so you want to do. But otherwise, I would try to avoid this and rather directly try to use response.as and then whatever the class name that I want. And here, if you see the class name, request response spec creator utils, too big. One. Second problem is you are mixing two things, request and response. Request is different and response is different, right? So if you have break this into two different classes, well and good, right? But apart from that, the implementation part is really good. In your whatever I see the code, the implementation part is really good, really clean. But maybe you should take more care, about the naming conventions or putting the right things in right places. That's something I would suggest. But apart from that, you are again using customer sessions, really good. Gives 201 successful post response, um, has response type within 2 seconds, has expected response JSON schema. Okay, these are all good. But in this case, maybe let's say in this case you could have parameterized this, maybe is equal to status code, and then you can pass the status code, because there are n number of status code. Validating, creating a wrapper method for all these status codes may be little too expensive, so you could have parameterized this like you have done here. but this is fine. You can have it like this, and then has response time within 2 seconds. That's also fine. Again, the problem with this is maybe you could have used some file here, and this file path you are hard coding it here, right? So this should be parameterized and coming from your test, so that this response assert class can be reused for different responses. But that's fine. But you're trying to do something as a wrapper, which is good, but there is little scope for optimization here. Even here you could have parameterized this, let's say something like uh, has response time, and then you could have done something like uh, inch or long, whatever you want, long time unit in seconds, right? And then you could have passed this here, or this is seconds, right? So 2000 seconds is little too much. So I think this is fine. Now again, see guys, it's clearly telling you haven't used this anywhere, right? And so maybe instead of returning this, it could have been void, because here after this you are not using any chaining. So make that matter that static makes more sense. So this is fine. And here, as I told, I'm gonna make this void and then remove this, right? Good. So now assert that again, user pass response, data dot get name, data dot get job. That's fine. All good here. I think the implementation is something that I don't have to take a look. But recently I started to use soft assertions here instead of the hard assertions. It's very simple. Just replace this with soft assertions. You create a soft assertions object here. Soft assertions, yeah, and then new soft assertions, right? So if you create something like this, and then you can use this, right? And instead of all these things, at the end you can use public void assert all, right? And then you can simply do soft assertions dot assert all, right? This is how it is. And here you can just add assert all, right? So now this is more readable. And again, like if both the things are failing, you will get the advantage of using soft assertions instead of the hard one. That's all about it. But the code is very clean. Again, remove this dot class path, dot project, all these files. Very good Docker file, but remove the unwanted files, like the class path, the project, and all that. Maybe you could have parameterized all these things, right? So yeah, you could have parameterized something like, there is too many plugins here: Maven deploy plugin, site plugin, reports plugin. So if you are not using all of them, please remove it. Like here you have parameterized the Maven surefire plugin. Same way you have parameterized Jackson version, also parameterize other dependencies. So okay, so that's very important. And then readme file is something that is very clean. It cannot take a lot of time, but the way that you have explained, that you are using arrange act and assert pattern, you are using pojo for serialization and deserialization, assert j for fluent and readable test. Very good. um, Seen in the Github Actions runs for now. Okay, so I think she has configured Github Actions. We'll also have a look at them. But for now, framework constants, don't do this mistake again, guys. Naming convention is something that very important. It just throws people away. So just split them with underscores. See, you have put a lot of efforts. Let's say you put at least 2 to 3 hours of effort. If you make very simple mistakes like naming, it's going to cause very bad impression. So please follow proper naming like this. So it's a very simple task. It may not take a lot of time for you, but please do it. But apart from that, you have resources, and then very clean. Same way for user endpoint, you would have splitted them by underscores, pojos. So you're using a single pojo for serialization and deserialization, which is something okay for the code reuse, but I would not suggest anytime. So please have a separate pojo for your request and response. That's save a lot of time. Framework config, you are using owner library, again very good, but this does not belongs to the utils class. You can create a package called config and put it there. Even this framework config factory, um, here the method naming, we have already discussed about all these things. Yeah, we have discussed about that. So request test data builder, I don't know why this is needed, because in your test class you are getting this user already, so you don't need that request builder and all that. But I like the implementation. um, but thing is, you should, if you get name and job, you can build user on top of it, right? So you cannot pass a user and build a user. So if you have string name and string job coming from it, okay, and then you can basically use that here, right? You can basically use this method to construct for you. Okay, so you are using this somewhere here, so here, so this is not needed, right? You are already getting the user, why you want to again convert into user? So not needed. um that's all. Maybe I'll do a reword here. I'll go here, but yeah, this should be fixed. Okay, you cannot pass an user and build an user, because apart from that you're not doing anything here, right? So already you have a user, you are getting value from there, and then not needed, because other things are really clean. Your assertions pretty clean, 10 out of 10. Maybe small suggestion to use soft assertions. Now let's come to the doubts that you have asked. So this is a GitHub, and let's go here. She also mentioned about GitHub Actions. Let's also have a look. I think it's pretty clean. So she has 33 workflows. I think she used very good things here. Run the API test, build X, login to. Okay, she's pushing the Docker image, very good. So she's using Docker X for saving some time in pulling the Docker image or pushing the Docker image. Really good. So pretty cool. I think I like this one. Yeah. So here she is running the API test. So let's see what it has. Again, you could also use this. See, it is downloading Maven, right? So Maven dependencies, right? You can avoid all these things, right? How you use dockerx, the same way you can also have Maven cache stored somewhere. There is a workflow for all these things, so you can use this. So it failed somewhere. Okay, so there is total of one run, and one run also got skipped. I think it is not able to find the test data or JSON. There is some failure. Okay, it's fine. Okay, but I don't know why. Yeah, this is getting skipped, and then there is no failures. Okay, but yeah, you can also have a look at it why it is failing. But for now, she has three important questions. One, response schema assertions using custom assertions. She wants to do response schema assertions using assert J, but she couldn't do it. She just used the conventional way of doing this. This is fine. But in case if you want to do it in case of assert J, there is something called as assertions.assert that code. So when you have a piece of code that you want to verify that it does not throw any exception, you can use something like supplier implementation. And sorry, this is callable implementation. And then you can just say uh, there is something called as JSON schema validator that matches JSON schema, new file. So this is basically this, and then you can have whatever the verify with fail messages you want, and then you can say it does not throw any exception. JSON schema validator dot matches JSON schema, but I need to tell matches the object. Object is actual dot body dot asterisk. Guys, if you are wondering, the automatic code suggestions that is coming, that's basically coming from GitHub Copilot. So it is really helpful. So let's say I type some code, it actually helps me to complete the stuff for me. Even in the case, let's say, see, this is really cool. It understands I'm just validating the schema, so it just give me the error message so that I don't have to type anything. So GitHub Pilot is really cool. It's now in actions here, right? That's all. Manpreet, overall a good work, definitely top 10 percentage. If you are attending any of my interviews, I'll definitely the mistakes that you have done is can be or rectified in a PR review comments. So I don't see uh, any problems picking you up for any of the interview that I take. So if, as long as the problems are very small and can be rectified, that's very very fine. Like you do at least know Docker, you know GitHub Actions, custom sessions, know how to use POJOs for deserialization and serialization. Very very good. Well done, and thanks for submitting this. So let's go to Umaji's assignment. So let's go to the pom.xml. Very good here, good work, parameterized, very very good. uh, let's go to the test cases. Okay, test cases, maybe you could have named it as tests. Okay, add user test, that's fine. And you have request builder dot post, very good. But again guys, I don't know, you could have used small letter post user. So this is very simple, right? Request builder post, very simple, right? And then you're logging something. I'm not a big fan of doing this logging, but he is actually doing it for, oh, he's using external logger. Okay, maybe in this case you don't have to put static imports. Static imports are good when everyone can understand this, but people might get confused when you use external logger dot info, right? So this basically gives an idea that you are logging to the external report, right? So maybe for assertions, rest assured given, people can easily guess, or it is kind of custom now, so for everyone to know about the static imports. But loggings, not many people will understand, so I would suggest keep the class name, right? So not static imports, use static imports only for very common things like assertions, hamcrest assertions, assert assertions, JUnit assertions, testng assertions, whatever. And then for in case, let's say rest assured, we are using static imports, but everybody knows this is basically coming from the rest assured class, this given. So in those cases you can use it, but in case of confusions, please put the class name and then the method name. Response assert, you are trying to is successful post response. Again, you could have parameterized this. Has header application JSON, this is good, you don't have to parameterize. Has response time long, time in seconds, not seconds, time in seconds would be more meaningful. So it's just small difference like that can separate you from others. So but apart from that, everything looks clean for me. Again, you can also use software sessions. User response assert extends this extra space here, and then has name, this name, extracting. Okay, this code again guys, not has jab, it has job, so don't do spelling mistakes. Okay, this good looks good for me. Let's go to the config. Owner library, I'm really happy that everyone started to use owner library. uh, like you would have already tasted the benefits of using owner API. Again, a lot of problems here. Don't use this here, this here, private static final. So again, it's telling, hey, you are not following the convention. In this case, you don't have to use lumbagetter. Maybe directly keep these things as public static final, and then directly you can use something like this. Okay, okay, and then okay, you are using data supplies, you are using JSON file reader. And guys, this is not reusable now. The problem is you have an utility that has JSON data. Maybe all your inputs are in JSON, but the problem here is the target.class is not parameterized. So if you want to reuse this in another test case, you should parameterize this like this, right? So class type t class, right? And then you're gonna pass the class here. And since I am using generics here, I could use something like this, right? And so you can also return the t type, right? So or so since you have put this as CMX of user, so I put t, right? Now all the errors are gone. So maybe you have to change in other places. This is where you can make this as parameterized. Okay, so parameterization is very important for scalability. Good. So this is very clean. I don't have much here. Request listener, okay, this is not okay. Maybe framework listener would be much needed, like separated request pojo and response pojo. Very good. Have response. Say, I think this is pretty standard way how I use my reporting, so I don't have to go there. People who follow me knows already about this. I think apart from that, everything looks clean, but I could not see any Docker related stuff, Docker file, GitHub Actions, maybe something, but the code is very clean. One suggestion from me is, um, I don't like to see this data provider thing or data supplier in the main package, because it's closely coupled to your test, because you can keep it in the test itself or somewhere near to the test package, so not in the main package. Okay, so that's something from my side, but apart from that, it looks very clean. Good job here. But I would also love to have seen your GitHub Actions or your Jenkins integrations, or little bit efforts on your Readme file, um, because not many people know how to run this. So maybe they can be from different background. They use C# or JavaScript as their programming language. So always put a proper Readme file. That's very important. That's all. I think for you guys. Again, Umaji, you are again top 10 percentage. Your code looks pretty neat, pretty clean. But the thing is, I could not see anything related to Docker or GitHub Actions. I could not put you into top 2 percentage. But the clone code wise, it's very clean. I really like the AssetJ part in the test cases. But take care of your naming conventions and use public static final for constants when needed, or you can create these getter methods yourself. Like, don't basically go for something like this, because the problem is a lot of people nowadays started to use SonarLint as their pre-commit check. So this might fail. Okay, so when you are submitting assign to one company, they may also look all these things. Okay, so either make all these as public or create your own getter methods so that it won't violate the SonarLint. But again, it's a very small suggestion. But the very important thing that I want to cover is, nobody all the people who push the code, I don't know, you didn't use any of the formatting libraries. We have a lot of formatting libraries in Java. Please use the formatting library. Please have it as a pre-commit thing. Like, whenever you commit something, it should automatically format the code. We have something that like that in my company. It really helps us to format the code and then push into GitHub. So that's very important. I'm really glad that you guys submitted it. So thanks, Umaji and Manpreet, for submitting your assignments. I'll see you guys in another great video. Until then, tada, bye bye from Bye bye.